Okay. Well, welcome tonight. This is the Redevelopment Authority meeting, December 5th at, is that clock right?
It's 6:33.
At 6:33, let's open the meeting. And by the way, okay, this meeting will be videotaped and rebroadcast by Area 58. Number 1 is on the agenda for consultant for hire, but we're going to move that. And now we're going to go with 2, Route 44 filing of subdivision plan. The committee letter of approval was sent to the planning board. That was the one that I had written and you people all had approved. And I had asked Tom if he would come in tonight and give us a discussion about the planning board acceptance. They had a meeting on the 28th, I believe it was, 27th, 28th?
Correct.
Okay, and Route 44 was on their agenda, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And also the letter that I had written was distributed, so if you will, your pleasure.
So I'm Tom Bott, I'm the town planner here in Carver, Mass. Route 44 is currently undergoing a subdivision plan. Earlier in the year, they had rescinded the subdivision plan, which is essentially erasing all the lot lines and all the roadways that had been previously created. So in Massachusetts, in order to make a lot to have frontage, you have to have a road in front of it. So in the subdivision process, people identify where the road's going to be at. The planning board vets all that sort of stuff to make sure site distance is fine, drainage is fine, and all the technical things that come with that. So they wiped all that stuff, clean slate over the summer, and they have now submitted a preliminary plan and now a definitive plan, and the definitive plan hearing opened on the 28th. Your information was in there, as well as other information from boards and committees and the applicant as well. The meeting is continued tonight, as well as to the 19th. However, we have a problem with one of the members who's not going to make it, so they're continuing till the 19th. So there won't be any discussion about the subdivision this evening.
Oh, okay.
So that process is, they submit a subdivision and the board has 90 days to review it and approve it, or request an extension by mutual consent for more time to conduct that business. Massachusetts general law states that the planning board shall approve a subdivision plan. So it's not discretionary. If someone meets all the requirements of your regulations, your subdivision plan will be approved by the board. That's what the state law says. And I have this discussion with people on a regular basis when they hear things like that, and I tell them, well, that's because land use laws weren't necessarily written for municipalities. Builders and real estate developers tend to invest more in the legislature than municipal governments do. So we don't always get a sympathetic ear for these sort of things. That's my theory. I could be wrong. So at this point, we've had the opening hearing. Our consulting engineer is reviewing the information. Planning board had a site visit this morning, and we'll be back discussing it on the 19th. Assuming everything's wrapped up by the first meeting in January, we may have a vote then if we are still vetting those sort of things. Typical procedure would be for either the party applicant or the planning board to request an extension. It's been my experience that most of the time that extension's granted. Because one of the planning board members in Kingston used to say, the board is always ready to vote, but I don't know that you want the board's vote if we're so obliged to vote tonight without an extension.
Oh,
So most of the time, people find a way to mutually agree to extend the deadline. So that's where we're at. There's one big piece of property out there with no lines on it anymore.
okay.
And they're in the midst of creating those new lines for those subdivisions. All this stuff is on file on the website. In addition to the plans.
On the planning board website?
On the planning board website.
Okay.
There's a tab at the top right, top left, that says plans under review by the planning board. So in addition to the subdivision plan, all the documentation we've received from the applicant regarding transportation, water, sewer, cleaning up the site, all those documents are posted on the website as well. They weren't initially, we typically just put the plan up there, but because there was such an interest about this, we decided best to use our server space to put all that information up there.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
There's a lot of information. All the information the planning board has is on the website.
Okay.
Other than the 90 days that the planning board has to approve it, Are there any other deadlines that have been made or missed, particularly in regards to zoning bylaws that were approved at town meeting in 2022?
Well, a lot of people file preliminary plans prior to a town meeting, as at the last, well, every year I've been here. I don't know how often they do that. And oftentimes after town meeting votes or doesn't vote something, most of those people pull those. In the case of Route 44, they did file a preliminary plan. They did file the definitive plan within 7 months of filing the preliminary plan, which keeps them in the game to get their plan approved and effectively grandfathering them from the zoning changes that basically took the height from 65 feet back to 40 feet. So it will effectively be grandfathered for 8 years from the date of endorsement of the planning board's decision, planning board's subdivision.
So it's still at 65 or 60?
65.
65, so it's still at 65
Correct.
for 8 years?
Well, 8 years from the date of endorsement.
Oh,
So,
20.
So the planning board votes to approve a plan. And if someone decides to appeal that, and it gets held up in court for 90 days, a year, the planning board can't endorse a plan while it's under appeal. So effectively, that 8-year grandfathering they might receive might be 9 years if it takes a year to resolve any sort of appeal that might happen. So while people always have the right to appeal, if your goal is to stop this thing, appealing it is just going to buy the applicant more time to grandfather their zoning and institute what they might institute there. So everyone has a right to appeal, but those are the implications of the appeal.
What do they need to do within the 8 years to keep that? Do they have to start building? Do they have to?
Yeah, they've got to execute. They've got to come in for an application. Now, as I've explained a few times here, as well as at the planning board, right now what's in front of the board is a subdivision plan.
Right.
This is only the road and the lots.
Yep.
My analogy that I thought about using was where we're at right now is sort of Advent. It's the season. There are boxes that you might put stuff in, but it's not Christmas. There's nothing in the box. After the subdivision plan has been approved, the roadway has been built and inspected by the board, when there is a bond in hand to make sure all remaining issues are addressed, then the planning board can vote to release the lots. And when they vote to release the lots, then you can put something on that lot. So right now, we're in Advent, we just have boxes. And at some point after Advent is over, the subdivision's approved, there'll be Christmas when people are actually putting things in the boxes. So that's the best analogy I can get.
Okay.
Seasonal analogy.
Okay.
But
Tom,
that-
do they, once this subdivision is approved, are they bound to go by that?
Yeah.
And do they have the ability to change it?
So the subdivision has to be, like a special permit or anything else, has to be executed in a certain period of time. I think it's 2 years here in Carver. So if they don't start their subdivision plan within those 2 years, then the subdivision plan is moot and they lose their grandfather and have to start all over again. So they have to execute the permission they get. So the subdivision plan has to be, they have to commence construction or come to the planning board and request extension for a good cause. And what is your good cause that you didn't start on that? So after a subdivision plan has been approved, yes, I'm going to come back and amend the plan. The other thing is that while the subdivision plan shows the 4 buildable lots that are on that, through the A&R process, someone can come in and reconfigure those lots. Because after you have frontage created under subdivision control, then someone can come with an A&R plan and reconfigure the shape of those lots. So let's say that they've got this one very large lot at the back. If they decide at some point, well, you know, we need more for this person we're going to have in the future, or we need less, then they could change the configuration of that lot through the A&R process, through the planning board. But the important things that they have to do is execute in a timely manner, or they lose their stuff.
Okay.
Okay, you, any,
No, you just answered.
I just have
Jim?
one, how about the uses that are out there?
The uses that are allowed there are what's allowed under the zoning bylaw. So whatever's in the zoning bylaw under Green Business Park are the uses that are allowed out there.
Okay.
But there are no uses proposed at this point.
Okay.
It's simply creating a subdivision to make these boxes, these lots, that people can put stuff on. And after the planning board approves the subdivision plan and the road is built and all that other stuff I said, then someone could come in and go, hey, we want to put X on lot Y. And that's what triggers the NEPA review and all that other sort of stuff. Because up until that point, there aren't any uses. What is envisioned is what the last urban redevelopment plan was. And as we've had those conversations with Maggie Schmidt and company, your urban redevelopment plan doesn't change until you've got something to change it with. The fact that you're not building what you hope to build is not really a change, because someone could still come in and build that exact same thing.
Right.
So at some point in the future, when they have a better idea of what they might be doing there, likely we're going to be back with hammer and tongs and looking at the urban redevelopment plan. Making those sort of amendments might have to be done, and things that came with that process you guys know even much better than I do.
I have a question. You talked about the subdivision plan being accepted. What's the commitment for Route 44 to build a road or whatever that road is supposed to be? Is there a time frame?
Yeah, they have to execute their permit within, or their subdivision approval within 2 years.
Now, when we were gonna have the other roadway, we have some of the bylaw changes. Isn't that something about a 20-foot road? And
Some of the bylaw changes were based on them changing the language from exact width of 24 feet to minimum of 24 feet.
But those are driveways, I don't think those are roadways.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
But,
Well, we already have a road going in there, right?
Well, you had a road going in.
yeah, you had, it's changing.
So when they rescind the subdivision plan, so a road can be a paper street. A road can just be on a piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
And so in this case, there's a road on a piece of paper and it's paved. So with the rescission of the subdivision, there's still asphalt out there, but it's not a road because it's been wiped clean. And no one has the right to build off of that road because it's not an approved subdivision roadway. In order to build in Massachusetts, you have to have acreage and frontage on a way. A way being a road in existence prior to subdivision control, a public way, or a road created by the planning board under subdivision control. So that asphalt that's out there is just asphalt right now. Keeps your shoes cleanish when you're walking around the property, like
Okay.
we did today. But it's not a road anymore.
Right. Yeah, there is no Park Avenue.
Yeah, really.
No boardwalk, no Baltic. No.
Well, okay, it just wiped clean, okay.
I hope there's still railroads.
The railroad's actually missing too.
Yeah, that's true here.
Here.
Okay.
So I guess we're okay? Guess we're okay?
Yeah, so they come back in on the 19th and that's when Fuss and O'Neill gets involved, or?
Yeah, well, Fuss has been involved.
Well, yeah, that's what
yeah.
I meant, but that's where they're going to have, hopefully, their,
Correct, so our consulting engineer, Amy Lyons, was at the last meeting. We only had a week between last meeting and this one because of the calendar. We didn't believe that we were gonna get much of an audience on Boxing Day. So rather than try to meet on the 12th and the 26th, the planning board changed the dates from the 5th to the 19th. So from our meeting on the 28th to our meeting on the 5th is only a week, and that's a little tough for most people to turn things around, even though Amy's been working on this memo. We had a conversation with him today about where we're at with that, and he expects to have his review memo out by the end of the week.
Okay,
all right?
I guess we're good. Do you want to say anything to us?
No, unless you have a specific question, I wouldn't, because
Yeah,
this is in front of the board.
that's fine, no problem.
That's fine.
Yeah, we're fine.
All
Thank you,
Okay, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Appreciate it. Good night.
Okay. That's good. All right, on the agenda, we had, go back to number 1, we had it on there, consultant for hire. We had some kind of a situation that's kind of pulled us back from that at this point. To be honest with you, KP Law had sent me a letter and truly wants to begin to meet with the RDA. There has been some OML charges against us. One of the persons has some objection. We're not at liberty to keep discussing this, so I'll be quiet. But I'm going to pull that from the agenda for tonight. The next thing on the agenda.
Why don't we just make a vote, because it's on the agenda? I make a motion that we
Okay.
continue discussion point 1, consultant for hire, to our next meeting.
Second.
There's a second. Any further discussion? If not, let's call for the vote. Pat?
Okay, I,
Aye.
Savory Moore says aye.
Roger Blett, aye.
Jim?
glad to
Jim Ellen
discuss
and
that. I'm glad to
And
discuss that.
Joanna Layton says aye.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's passes. Thank you, Savory. All right, let's move along here. The next one down is Indian Street. And basically what that is, a continuation. It was on our September 5th minutes, and we were talking about it. And I just wanted to open that back up because that conversation, I don't know if it ties in with those 3 lots across the street from, on Lakeview. Does that tie in with that?
No.
Nothing. Okay, great. Just wanted to open up that dialogue again and see.
That's
and I
the point
think
I'm speaking of.
That's the point, yeah, that's the one you're on. It's under the topic, if you printed, for those of you here, topics not anticipated by the chair, that was under that. So if you want to open up your minutes and you want to look at it, it says, Roger says to Mr. Moore, Mr. Moore says, Roger sent me an email regarding Indian Street and new home constructions. They are blocking the hole and there is difficulty with parking and accessing conservation trails. And there's dialogue continues. Roger, you asked other questions as well of Savory. Savory told us about the future. Carver owns conservation land there, and he talks about the adjoining land that Griffith donated to Buzzards Bay Coalition. And he also says 6 to 7 acre parcel on Indian Street, which abuts Carver-owned conservation land. And then, Roger, you ask, there is a huge piece of land out there, Bay State, something, there are signs. Why don't you just
So,
ask?
yeah, so that piece of property, right next to it, on Indian, where the bay area is for Taunton, I guess it's Watershed or Bay State?
Buzzards Bay Coalition.
Buzzards Bay Coalition. Okay, so the man who owns the property that has that section for sale has gutted up to about 7, right up to his property line, gutted it out and moved it to the side and has a big pile sitting on it now. So I think the attempt and the steps moving forward is that he's going to take as much of that land as he has in the back, gut it out and take it away and put it for sale, relocate it. So at that particular time is at what point in that conservation land, water comes down, that's going to filter down into the system. But you sit there and take a hot cake, cut it, and take a piece out, everything's going to slide out that new hole you have. And that's exactly what's starting to have, is you're starting to see the sand that was like tightened up against that. As it rains, it gets more wet, sliding down, coming on out and moving away. So now you're going to have erosion of an area that's supposed to be protected. Point 1 is, how much land when it comes to a property line such as that, when you're going to cut away, and I say it's about 10-foot grade, that slope up to about 10 plus feet. So when you start carving out that much land, that water's going to now, instead of coming down the normal filtration system and the arc of that hill that he had there, is now going to take the path of least resistance and seep out the side. And how much more land is that going to erode away from the protected land that he'll be able to cart away?
Well, there are a couple of things in play here. Number one, do you know what the address is?
I do not. If you know the road, how it turns, Indian going towards 58, you've got a big bog on the left-hand side, and the road kind of serpentines around, and then it opens, and then there used to be a shed, like a pump shed on the right-hand side, and now there's all excavating equipment and filtering equipment to get the sand out and separate. It's on the left-hand side going towards 58. And that's right before that, the bay.
Buzzards Bay.
Buzzards Bay.
Property.
Yeah. So, I don't know who gets involved in that. I mean, I understand, it's your property, you have this, but when you do a cutaway on protected land, common sense, it's gonna filtrate out through the bottom and take the path of least resistance and then wash away, and who knows what we're gonna have with that next.
Well, the bylaws state that a property owner can't do anything within 100 foot of a wetland. So if there is a wetland within 100 feet of where this person is clearing, then that person is in violation if that person has not come before the Conservation Commission to get permission to do that. And there is a 65-foot buffer zone where you need a variance, and you have to prove hardship in order to get a variance to do that. So it's a much higher level of need in order to do that. The only exception in that case would be if the land is in Chapter 61A agricultural land, in which case there are exemptions from those buffer zones. And you can clear right up to the property line if your property is in 61A. So if this is cranberry bog or cranberry upland related, it all depends on how that property is registered in the town. If it's in Chapter 61A, basically this person can clear right up to the property line without, we would prefer that, we, meaning the Conservation Commission, would prefer that the person would come and tell us about it, because we get phone calls.
Yeah, because I called it and I asked some information. I left a voicemail for a gentleman, the name that was floated to me was Gary Flaherty.
Gary, yeah, he's the conservation agent.
Got nothing back. So, because I wanted to discuss it further, I didn't necessarily want to put on this agenda without having to talk to him, but since you're the member I get to speak to, here I am. And the thing is, conservation land, I guess, the wetland, whatever the width of the street is, you've got, that might be your 65 feet within tolerance of it, from the end of the property, Indian Road, and then wetland.
No, you're fine.
Wetland on the right-hand side, 100 feet, I don't think he clears that, I don't know. But then if you're talking like there's other tolerance where he's allowed to go right up to the line, I do see that they're doing something. I mean, I'm via car, I'm not entering anyone's property. I can see that from street, maybe 75 feet, 100 feet up the property, they have something, they're marking something with stone, so I don't know what they're starting to do. It's not my business to go on anyone's property to look at it, but it just raised the question. If you're going, since the incline is what it is.
If the property is in 61A, Chapter 61A, and Chapter 61A is any land, as long as a grower or a farmer, doesn't have to be cranberries, it could be any crop, any agricultural, as long as the owner has filed it as a Chapter 61A and is getting the tax break from the town on that property, then he or she can do whatever they want with that property. Sometimes there are a ratio of 7 to 1 uplands to land use, agricultural use. A cranberry bog could be 2 acres and would have 14 acres of upland surrounding it, and all 16 acres are in 61A. So that opens it up for the grower to do whatever he wants with that 16 acres, because the land is in 61A.
But isn't there any contradiction from what the what the other land is used for? Like, is there no protections from that says, that might refute it? Because when they first did this law, the man might have, or the grower might have had no idea of ever trying to open that land up. But it does look, there's a sizable amount of property that would have bayed down to a bog. So there is a bog on that
Right.
property. How long that distance is from the end of that bog was at least a dirt road, and then a sizable mound, which leads right up to the wetland, to the property. You know, I mean,
Well, sand, the sand in Carver is called Carver gold for a reason. It's a commodity.
quantity, right?
And in order for somebody to remove sand, they have to go in front of the Earth Removal Committee. So that, if there is sand removal going on, then this Earth Removal Committee is the committee that would have had to have looked at it first and given their permission to do that. If there are no wetlands involved within the 100 feet, or if it's in 61A, the property owner has no reason to come in front of conservation. So, not knowing what the address is it Cranberry Bogs?
Well, they're across, there's a cranberry bog on it.
So I would
It's been kind
imagine,
of dormant for a while. I mean, I don't think, because right next to it is like this big lush, gorgeous bog. And then across the street was a big bog, is like the marshland that heads more towards out 58, the ones that are on 58, where they did all the, like the over by Timeless Stone, across from Timeless Stone.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of intersect that big lot there.
yeah.
So I don't know who they are. I don't know the lot. Again, I just wanted to bring awareness that, you know, a lot of things happen when you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Every man has a right to do whatever he wants with his property to a degree. So I just wanted to understand, like, since it's got, you know, you've got property designed for one thing, I just want to make sure everyone's walking the line, doing the right thing.
Well, the 61A, it allows for a lot of leeway in what people can do if they have that property in 61A. Now, I know a lot of the property along Indian Street has been sold to
That's the, yeah, further
individual
up on it,
lots.
yeah.
And once those lots are sold, they lose their 61A status and gain the 100-foot and 65-foot buffer back from any wetlands. So I think that it'd probably be good, Conservation's meeting tomorrow night, we can add that to, you know, things not anticipated. If you could get me the address of what it is, or between,
Yeah, I mean,
Could you do a site visit?
just because.
well, I mean, no, we'd have
Not
to
by
bring it up
tomorrow
with
night.
Conservation first, and then just you know, take
But I mean,
Conservation.
wouldn't
would
that
be-
outline be, so, what did you call that property actually again? Forgive me.
It's the Buzzards Bay Coalition property.
That's a lot of land.
Coalition.
All right, so there's the large bog on Indian Street where the curve is in the road, and then there's another smaller bog a little bit closer to 58, and then across the street there seems to be an area that's cleared,
Yeah, that
and a
area would
little
be.
shed, there's a pump house.
Yeah, okay, so across the street, that's the property then, and it's like, and you're traveling towards Rochester. You'd be traveling in towards Indian Rochester.
Okay, so, all right, I'm going the other way. All right, so going towards Rochester, there's,
You'll see that pump house, there'll be like a marshy land, and then maybe an eighth of a mile, then there's where they started building all those new houses. Then there's that bend in the road, yeah, and then that's where all the new houses began.
that's going towards Main Street, not
Towards Main Street, yeah.
towards Main
towards
Street, yes. Yeah, I see the sandy area,
Yeah,
I see
yeah.
the pump house,
Yeah, so right across there is the property I'm talking about, and then I don't know if that
that little
view-
bog.
Yeah, I don't know if that view is showing you anything cut away now, because I don't know how long ago that picture was taken from the satellite, but,
Right.
you know, I don't know what that lot would be, and it doesn't actually have an address, unless
It doesn't
unless
have
it's on
any,
there.
it only has one of the new houses in there, so it's a few years old. The aerial photo, the satellite photo. All right, so you're saying, this is the bog here, correct?
Oh,
Because this is the big bog around the curve, so it's this next bog here, right?
Yeah.
And there's the pump house, so
There's the
it's
pump
in
house.
here,
So, right, everything to that line has been gutted,
cleared,
cleared.
clear cut. Are
So
they,
it's all gutted down and it's in a big pile on the property, maybe a little bit further over, like that. So wherever that line is, because on one of the trees over here has that Buzzards Bay sign on it,
okay,
and it looks like maybe 15 feet past it is where they strip back.
Right.
So it's this property right here in question, and the incline probably goes from about 12 feet down to street,
how far back have they cleared beyond the,
to that line, to like that angle where the trees go up and around curve.
Yeah.
Like it's right, it clears that line.
Wow.
Straight back, so, and again, I'd say about, again, walking, looking, probably about 18 to 24 inches been scraped back.
All right. Are they pulling sand?
It's a pile right now, it's a pile. Nothing's left the property that I can, that, I don't watch daily, but there's still a big mound on it, so maybe they're settling the land to put a house on it, and then they'll scrape it away after like 6 months, whatever, when
Okay.
it packs down. To excavate and put it in, I apologize.
It's fine.
Okay.
So it's just, I just want to raise the question, because a lot of things happening.
All right, well, it's something that we can certainly bring up. I'll have to drive by there tomorrow. Maybe, we have site visits in the morning, maybe I can ask the guys if they want to take a drive by. And take
If
a
it,
look.
if it raises no eyebrows, it is, but it is then.
Well, a lot of the growers clear-cut trees around their bogs. As the trees grow, it puts shade on the edges of their bogs, especially as the sun gets lower in the sky. And we didn't this year, but there are years where we have frosts before the harvest. And the sun helps eliminate any kind of damage to the berries. If they're in the shade, they're going to get colder and stay colder. So there have been growers out on Federal Road that have cut forests so their entire bog gets sun as we get into the lower sun in September and October. I'm not saying this is what the case is here, but that's part of the reason that they're allowed to do what they do.
Yeah.
Is to protect their crop.
Yeah, I think it's eastern. It would be, east comes over it, so
Yeah, so I mean,
east to west.
morning sun is best for melting any ice
Okay.
that goes on there, and it's cheaper than pumping water on the
Yeah.
bog.
So the question tomorrow, he's going to put that on the agenda.
Okay.
He's going to try to make a site visit in the morning, assuming. Are you in any position to go tomorrow night to
No.
that meeting?
What time? is your
7
meeting?
o'clock upstairs.
I can most likely attend that, yeah, absolutely, if you want me to attend.
Well, that
But
would
if you
be,
can drop me a line, just let me know the address, if you see it and you think there's something for me to stand up and say.
Yeah, I'll look up I'll look on the GIS
Just real
maps
quick.
and find
Yeah.
out what parcel it is.
And that's upstairs, room 1, the big
Yes,
one?
yes.
in the big room, you meet in the big room?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yes, we do.
Okay. So, does that kind of?
Yeah, it answered it puts that on
Super.
track.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Let's talk about Wade Street. The last meeting, there was no invoice from Mr. Borden. Savory, you said you were going to try to link up with him. I don't know.
I
if
haven't
you-
yet.
You have not? Okay.
No, I stopped by the other day and no one was there.
You haven't gotten an
I haven't
invoice?
seen anything, no.
Okay, fine. All right, so we'll just
Yeah.
continue that,
Yeah.
no big deal. The next one, and public records request, I just got a memo or an email from KP Law. We got an OML violation. That was a request for draft minutes for November 7th meeting, but it has gone into more of a dispute about what he read, the person who filed the violation. And what we said in our meeting, and I would ask that if we can go back, we have to think about making a meeting because Greg from KP Law had said that he would like to meet with RDA, and he told us that next week, the 12th or the 13th, now the 12th is Tuesday, and the 13th is Wednesday. So in order to meet with the RDA, we have to be able to come back and come together again.
Why does he need to meet with us?
Because it's confusing. In other words, the OML, we are being charged to the fact that what we initially told KP Law when he was filing the paperwork for it, then later, Mr. Belbin, let's put it, his name's on my agenda, might as well say who it is. Mr. Belbin looked further into it and found out that I sent a letter to
Yeah, I read that.
O'Donnell.
But you know what's really confusing is why this guy continues to harass committees. And
Well-
that's all this is harassment.
So,
It's never, ever about a significant issue. It's of the
Right.
tiniest, minuscule, meaningless infractions. There's never been anything of significance, and this guy continues this. It's cost this town tens of thousands of dollars because he's this self-appointed, whatever, overseer of the open meeting law. Knock it off. It's harassment.
Well, we need to meet with Greg.
we do. Because he said it's getting far too confusing, and Greg needs to write an opinion, because now Mr. Belvin is charging me specifically that I lied, and that also that we, when this, whatever you want to call that, what Greg filed, is a lie compared to what he's just found out. I mean, it's
think-
more than I want to say, but go ahead.
I think there needs to be some sort of area between the openness of being able to speak with each other, put out a point, have it discussed back and forth, and not be held to like a chain, as in like it's immediate law. I think he's looking too specific, trying to iron down, like lock you to words you say or anyone says, and that has to stop, because we're here to meet. We see once a month to discuss. There's going to be thoughts, ideas passed around the table that do not need to be considered in stone, because it's not. And if you have an opinion, you're allowed to have an opinion. That's what we're here to discuss. That's why it's on television for anyone in the town who wants to take a look at and write in and chime. Why does this person have a vendetta against anyone, previous or current? It's a waste of time, and I keep hearing the corruption of the RDA, and specific members mentioned. Well, like, we're not corrupt. There's just, we're trying to continue on with the knowledge and retain some knowledge of what came before. So we have somebody new. It's a moot issue.
This is the only venue where we are allowed to discuss anything on our agenda. So, what's said in the meeting, I think in this particular case, the punctuation in the minutes was probably, could be taken two ways in the passage that Bob cited in his complaint. There's perhaps a missing period. There were two thoughts
Exactly.
that were combined in one sentence.
Right, with the word "and."
And there should have been a period and a second thought. And the video of the meeting backs that up.
Yeah. And this guy just spends inordinate amounts of time
Well,
combing through this stuff, hours and hours and hours of just finding the most meaningless little item. And it's just not this committee, it's all committees.
Oh, yeah.
And the bottom line of the whole thing is that, as in this committee, as in all other committees, we're just a bunch of people who want to do what's in the best interest of the town of Carver and its residents. There has never been any intention of circumventing any law or anything else.
Right.
And anything that might be an honest mistake or whatever, okay, so we correct it. But this guy just is relentless and doesn't stop, and it's harassment.
Well, there have been a lot of complaints filed by this gentleman against us, yet he has not been at one of our meetings.
Yeah, right.
So, he wants to try everything in the public court of social media as opposed to coming and addressing us directly. So, I just I don't know what he's after.
I don't even know
I
what.
think it tarnishes his integrity, because the mere fact is if you have a challenge, you come and you discuss. Again, 1 month, one night, an hour, a month to openly discuss things. We're not going to always be refined. That's the point. You got to shoot it back and forth. You float an issue, we discuss it, and I think if some of the issue was the fact that when did we talk to when was Greg Corbo reading this stuff to make his paperwork? It could have been discussed. There's 2 months between that, from September or October.
Well, it was August 1st, August 1st.
There's time, but I mean, like, how fast does that ball roll? So, I mean, for him to take it so literally, like somebody's lying, I think that's wrong. And I think any court of law would turn around and say that there's obviously no lying. You can watch a video,
Yeah.
which is what this is out there for, and see the correction and correct himself, but he wants to raise his signal, be a
Very
paper
clear in
line.
that meeting that what we were doing was accepting a resume and nothing more.
That's right.
So,
So, I mean,
please take it with a grain of salt, anyone
His-
watching.
I think his open meeting law violation request is meritless, and I think that the court's going to see it that way also.
Everyone he does is meritless.
Yeah. So-
Yeah.
There has never been one in all these years that have come up with an issue of significance. Never.
Right.
First I
Well,
heard of it was today.
So
I'm sorry.
if we get together with Craig next week. Greg, I say Craig. Greg Corbo, the 12th being Tuesday and the 13th being Wednesday. What is your availability?
I'm not available Tuesday.
No, neither am I. I don't even know if I'm available both nights. I know
Is any one of you available on Wednesday? I'm open either day.
Yeah, I can be here Wednesday.
I can do Wednesday.
Can you do Wednesday?
Wednesday's fine.
Can you do Wednesday?
All right, so we'll have.
What are you,
four.
Pat? Can you do Wednesday?
I'm not sure.
Well,
I know I
at
can't
least
do
we
Tuesday.
will post a meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
And we'll post it for 6:30, is that okay?
that's fine.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we'll do it Thursday, okay. And openly, Mr. Babin, why don't you come to this meeting and discuss? You obviously have a concern, your opposition somewhere. I don't know where that opposition is, but you're strong on it. And one more thing. I've known you for a long time, Mr. Belbin, and you're no coward. So don't disappoint me. Come and meet with us on the 13th at 6:30 and voice your concern. Thank you. All right, so be it. The next one is we have a new town administrator is leaving, Bob Fennessy.
What?
He gave his notice, and,
Not on my account, I hope.
no. No.
We weren't going to tell you.
Yeah, right. It was really you that caused it. It flipped. But anyway, all of you, it's on the website here. If you go to the website and you go right in the first page where it talks about everything, it says public hearing notice. Select Board is accepting letters of interest for appointment to the Town Administrator Screening Committee. There is a deadline if you're interested, or pass it along. Geez, let's see, I think it was December 13th. They're very specific, yeah, very
Yeah, mine's
specific.
in already.
Are you going to be on it?
No, I'm in already.
Oh, you are
I
already?
was in the last two.
Oh, you were? Oh, fantastic. Oh, well,
I'll be on this one,
good.
too.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's that. Okay, and we are ready for a treasurer's report.
Okay, I have to bring up my email, just give me a,
I printed it out, I don't have any objections, I just want to hear from you.
I try to go the high-tech route here with the,
While you're preparing that, can I ask a question? Shelby Roy is the person who does our IT, or would, is
Yes,
she the
but
one
she's
that-
out on maternity leave.
Anyone covering her?
Yes, there is one in that, you have to call the select board's office.
Okay. Because my email, like everything in it just disappeared. I opened it up and it's gone. So,
Well, that's probably because
so I gotta get a restore.
that's probably the request that was given, because that's how we got all these emails.
Well, everything just disappeared, so I'm like,
That's why
oh,
you need
do
to
a
have,
Gmail. I
you
got
need
you.
to have a
Yeah, it's not-
Gmail.
all right.
So if you call the select board,
Okay.
Or just stop and see Elaine or Nancy.
well, Elaine doesn't really answer because of her, she's busy. Nancy will answer,
Okay.
and then you can convey that over and ask
Nancy.
Nancy if you can speak directly with whoever the person
Nancy
who is.
Hubbard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to just speak with that person who's taking,
Take it on the duty, okay.
for Shelby.
For a email restore.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Thank you, sorry.
No
Sorry,
problem, Pat.
okay, no, it's okay. So on the treasurer's report, balances the end of November are basically about the same as the end of October. In the checking account, there's $553.99, but we do have 2 outstanding checks totaling $150, not yet cashed. In the money market savings account, $59,155.58. And in the urban renewal plan account, $1,280.47. And
Okay.
that's it, not much going on lately.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All those in vote say
Aye.
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 Aye. It's been accepted. Members' notes. Last time, I told you how I had gone to,
Topics not anticipated is next, actually,
oh, I'm
if
sorry.
anyone has any.
Oh, okay, thank you for,
Didn't we have,
Already
you
had
have to
one.
approve meetings, minutes?
what?
Didn't you have to approve certain meeting minutes?
That's next.
Oh,
That's
sorry,
next.
Sorry.
No, topics not anticipated.
That's number 8, number 8.
I have nothing.
Does anybody have topics not anticipated by the chair 48 hours in advance? I have none. No, you have none?
No.
Okay. Then is member notes. And each one of us has an opportunity, and I have handouts from that KP Law that I attended. Jim, what did you attend?
Just the last meeting.
The,
Training?
no, the KP, you went to some, was that online?
Oh, yeah, it was online. I did the ethics training.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
So I
we-
got my cert to do that.
Okay.
that's state.
There you go.
Yes.
That's, yeah,
Yep.
state
It
requires.
was part of that
Yep.
swearing thing that I got upstairs, and I got a thing so So I completed it. There's my member note.
Good, hold on to that.
All right.
So here's something here on the records law, that's for you.
Yeah.
These are like cliff notes, I guess. Pass that down and pass that down. I have my copy at home.
Yeah.
But they're.
Left over.
Yeah, the cliff
Turning it
notes on executive session and public records law. I guess I have to read that a little deeper. Maybe I can give one to Bob Belvin, huh?
He'd find
Anyway, that's a,
some reason why it violated the open meeting law.
yeah. The minutes, has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from
Yeah.
it's November 7th?
I was not there, so I cannot.
Oh,
I have
you
to
would abstain. Okay, so I would need a motion.
I think we should,
Table?
I think we should continue the approval of the minutes till after we meet with Greg Corbo.
Okay, let's,
I just want to make sure that everything is, in the minutes is, all our punctuation is perfect, so that there isn't a misreading of what was said.
okay, so we're going to table that
Yeah.
till next meeting.
So I'll make a motion that we continue the minutes approval of November 7th until our next meeting on December 13th.
Okay,
Second.
second? There we go. A vote?
Aye.
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 And Joanna says aye, so it's unanimous. All right, we talked about our next meeting, but is that going to be a next meeting for us business-wise, or just, are we going to, Wednesday going to be just with Greg?
It's unofficial, yeah.
I think it's probably just with Greg. I mean, there's nothing really new that, unless something comes up.
No,
But you, I
unless-
mean, you have to do the agenda by Thursday.
Yeah, oh God, yes, you're right, 48 hour, yeah, okay.
So there's not.
Let's
probably
look at
gonna
the
be-
calendar for the next year. And I don't have my calendar.
Well, the second is the first Tuesday of the month.
What, is that the one we would normally be?
Well, we've been doing first Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
That's
So,
the day after New Year's.
all right. So does that go along with everybody else here?
I'm good.
Can we do the 9th?
He wants the ninth.
second,
What's
because-
the ninth?
Yeah. I don't think I can do the second.
Is there a
Day
good
after.
football game on the second?
No, just with my job, there's a certain thing that's happening, I can't miss that.
I'm fine with the 9th.
I can do the ninth.
I am too.
Okay, so the ninth, and that's a Tuesday,
Yep.
Yes.
and that'll be 6:30.
Right.
All right, that sounds good. Is that okay for you,
Beautiful.
Roger?
Should be
Okay.
perfect.
I guess we can move to adjourn. I think I asked about that clock.
The clock's right,
It's 7:25.
7:28,
I'm sorry.
24 rather.
All right, 7:28,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second?
Oh,
Okay.
so moved. Okay, everybody votes
aye.
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 aye. That's unanimous.